Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Robbie, how are you, sir?
I am very good. How are you, sir?
You taking your dick out for the beginning of this?
You know, I did it for Facebook the other day. I might just do it for you too, man. I might just do it for you.
Thank you for coming out. It's been a while since I've had people on the show. I know you were talking about you've been listening a little bit, and you saw that I had like all different kinds of people on here.
Absolutely. Actually, I was a bit intimidated. I'm not going to lie. Seeing you had professors on here. You're talking about stocks. I've been listening. And I'm like, I'm not that fucking smart. This may be a dud. I'm like, hopefully not, But, very, very good.
That's why we're drinking. That's why sometimes it's fun to listen to somebody who's smart and you hear some shit, but sometimes, people want to hear two animals in a fucking room.
I'm just letting you know if I'm like this, I'm just agreeing with you, and I have no fucking clue what you're saying, man. Like, I don't know. You started talking about bonds and millionaires. You did like a math problem on your podcast, and I was like, I'm still counting on fingers, man. I'm that guy. Actually, as a matter of fact, I took integrated math as a kid, and I had to take 2 at the end, and that's like the special ed math. So
you had to do it twice, or it was a special one. It was an even easier class.
It was definitely easier. Like, I wasn't in calc or anything like that.
Not me either.
If you could calculate my IQ, is probably about 4. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm not that smart, man.
It's so weird how you get an interest in something and then it just kind of fades out. Like all that finance shit, I'm so far removed from that. Like I went to school for that. I got a degree in fucking finance. And I'm over here fucking
what a fucking nerd.
Off.
Jesus, right? I could not. You know what they need in school for me? Like finances class or classes about taxes or some shit that would apply to my real life. I do not use trigonometry. Not that I took that class. I was in integrated math. But any of that stuff I really don't use. You know what I mean? I don't.
Nobody does.
No.
Nobody uses that shit. They lie to you. They're like, music is everywhere. I remember having a... maybe you saw the same thing. How old are you? I think we're around the same age.
I'm 32.
Oh, shit. All right, I'm 25. You're a little older than me.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this video, and they had, like, this Spanish math teacher. And he was asking his big class, he's like, what do you want to be? What do you, And every conceivable job came up, and he's like, you need math for that. You need math for that. I just want to be like, no, motherfucker, you don't need math to be a rock star.
Lies. You need to know somebody. That's what you need to do.
Yes.
You need to know somebody and have a way in because you pay all these college. I think that's what kind of like the comedy thing is about. All of us have this innate feature in ourselves where we feel like we don't fit into society and stuff like that. And I just see when I think about college and stuff like that, it's like, oh, I'm going to go to college for 4 to 8 years and then start off at the bottom so this dude's daughter can get a made-up position to make 10 times more than me. Fuck you, dude. I'm about to just do my own thing.
Yeah. How much better would it have been? I mean, did you go to school at all? College-wise?
Twice. I went to community college once, and it was for business management. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then once when I was in the military, to just get a degree to progress my career. Because even there, they're like, you can't go up. You can only go up so far in the ranks unless you have a degree. Yeah, gotcha. Gay.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be better if there was more of a, I don't know, like a acceptance by parents to let their kids do some other shit that doesn't involve traditional, like, schooling? Because if everybody goes that route, there's no wonder that people have degrees and they can't find jobs because everybody went that same fucking route.
That is a very valid point. And I will tell you, I grew up like old school, off the boat Portuguese. So like they're like especially like you work hard till since you're like 12, and you get that work ethic in you, and you just follow the system, and you just do whatever you gotta do. And I couldn't agree more. I have a son. I'm a single dad, and I try and raise him the opposite. You know what I mean? As long he can stay with me as long as he wants. As long as he's going towards something, you know what I mean? If he wants to be an entertainer or if he wants to be, you know what I mean? As long as he's doing something.
Yeah. I work with a woman that was telling me that her daughter is she's like a big into dance, like theatrical dance and shit like that. And she was talking about it like she was very accepting. She's like, my daughter told me that if I go to this public school instead of this art school, I'm just not going to pay attention. I'm not going to give a fuck. I'm going to hate my life. I don't want to go. The mom's like, okay, let's put some time towards some shit that you're actually going to want to do and put her in the art school. And I'm like, that's a good fucking move.
If you don't mind me asking, is she white?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. She's white. But she's like that hardened white. She's like cigarette smoke white.
Like drinking cigarette water type of voice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying because the interpretive dance, because I feel like that's innately white, but
Right.
but I mean just the looking at your mom and you're like, you can send me there. I'm not gonna do anything. Boy, I would catch a 2-piece chicken combo if I ever said something like that.
So are you full Portuguese?
No, actually, I grew up very Portuguese, but my whole mom's side is dead. So I'm half Italian. I'm half Portuguese.
Me too. Half and half.
Dude, you're not Hispanic?
No.
What? Antonio Barboza?
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you from all us white folks. Because usually, right, there will be like mulatto or something like... It's never the opposite. Like, you're the white guy who looks darker than what you are. So that's very cool.
That's in my act. I tell people, I'm like, I'm a white guy. I know I don't look like it. I'm not like Boy Meets World white, you know? Like, it's... but it's true. Like, everyone... Ever since I was a kid, they're like, you're Dominican. You're fucking Puerto Rican. You're something, you know?
That's... with great power comes great responsibility, my friend. That's awesome, dude. I wish.
Yeah.
But...
I'm happy I'm not like a one of those uber white guys.
Yeah, like
real... Yeah, but I mean, even you. Like, you're cooler. I'm talking about, like Newport fucking...
Oh, the snobby fucking... Yeah.
They don't know how to do anything. Like, they're just clumsy and they're fucking weird. They don't know how to talk.
So, damn. Did your grandmama have hair on her lower back, too? You're Portuguese. How was it growing up for you, Portuguese?
Well, see, my dad is the Portuguese one, and his whole family, none of them live here. It's just him.
What part? What part for Portugal?
San Miguel. Azores.
Oh, San Miguel. Yes, I've actually been there.
Have you?
I've seen St. Cris. I've seen all of that, yeah. It's so weird for me, like, going to, like, a family, because, you know, you don't talk to your family for, like, the whole year, and then you're going to go to the funeral of someone, and you have all your family there. And I've seen people, like, I got the shit end of the stick because, like, I'm the super white guy, but then I got, like, super dark. You would almost think they're African-American, or, like, some even look Middle Eastern. Like, there's all different kinds of Portuguese, man. I just got the white genes.
So, are you mainland? Is your family from mainland?
No, St. Miguel as well, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, well, there's a lot of white Portuguese people on the mainland because it's obviously not an island. You know, island, like my dad, fucking full-blooded Azores, whatever.
Yeah, my dad too, yo.
He's dark as a motherfucker. Like,
my dad's white too.
My dad's dark.
I don't know, man. But I've even been there. Have you gone?
Yeah. I've been, I don't know, 3 times maybe when I was younger. I haven't been in a while, but...
Yeah, I only went once. I almost died.
Really?
I went jumping off that cliff.
Oh, shit.
Into the, Portuguese water ain't no joke, like the ocean and everything with the waves. Fuck. And I crashed up against one of the waves, against one of the walls, and some Portuguese kid came and picked me up out of the water. I was like half knocked out. Then he looked at my dad like $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I saved you, kid.
I saved you. Like my dad literally. I gotta be the only person in my family like on my dad's side. So my mom, I am Italian, right? And I did live in Italy for 3 years.
Really?
But,
through the military or just in general?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay,
I'm not rich. so I got to experience that so much, but I never grew up Italian. Like, my mom's the only person, like, I don't know if they're, like, mafia or whatever, but they're all dead. My mom literally has no living relatives. Yeah, and it was always, I grew up Portuguese. My grandmother, my grandfather came off the boat and then did the Portuguese thing, and, like, they moved here.
East Providence.
Of course. And had 8 kids. You know what I mean? I got like 10 uncles and aunts. But yeah, they did the thing and came here. But I got to be the only person who doesn't speak Portuguese. Like,
I don't either.
You don't either?
No,
Do you get made fun of by your family members?
So here's the thing. Both my parents are from their countries. Like, my dad's from Portugal and my mom is from Italy.
So the English was the...
Yeah, English was how, obviously, they communicated, but they never... My whole life, people were like, you speak? And I'm like, no. And they would always be like, your parents are from there. And I'm like, motherfucker, tell them that. They ain't teaching me shit.
Yeah. Lazy ass, American attitude ass. But I almost felt like my grandmother would get really mad that I didn't speak Portuguese. She would always speak Portuguese to me when I was younger. And especially since I didn't have the Italian... side of it. Plus, I got a big nose, like the Portuguese do, and she would just get really mad. But I almost adopted the attitude as like, I'm American. I don't need to wear, which now is ignorant. But now I wish I almost learned. Like, I can understand. I know when I'm getting cussed out and stuff. To just have a conversation with you right now, no way.
No, fuck that. And school doesn't help that either. They're like, here's 2 years of Spanish. Good luck.
Yeah,
well, it's stupid.
Italian and Spanish and Portuguese are similar.
Definitely Spanish and Portuguese. Mm-hmm. Super close. Just a lot of fucking weird noises in Portuguese.
Yeah.
A lot of ish, geesh, quish.
Ish, quish, queef.
You ever hear Russell Peters' bit about fucking Portuguese, the language?
I have not.
Do you know Russell Peters?
No.
It's okay.
I'm going to be so honest. No.
He's funny. You'd like him.
By face, probably, but off rip, I listen and hear 1,000
all the time.
Yeah.
But he's like Portuguese is like a deaf guy speaking Spanish.
Okay.
And he goes, uno, dos, tres. That's a Spanish guy. And then he goes, this is a Portuguese guy. Uno, dos, tres.
Yeah. That's how it sounds.
It's so good, right?
That is really good. That's fucked up.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know, man. Portuguese. The food, though. How do you feel about Portuguese food, man?
I'm a fan, but it's a lot of the same shit. I mean, all cuisines, they all make the same shit. Like, when I say the same shit, I mean, like, Italians with pizza and pasta. But every Portuguese place, the merit of their restaurant is based on their steak plate. If they got a good steak plate, the plate with the fucking rice and the French fries and the red pepper and the garlic and all that shit, if they got that, I'm happy. That's like one of their main staples.
I don't know. I always grew up eating weird-ass food. Weird-ass food. I was never happy. My grandmother would cook rabbit all the time, octopus. You're like, I was like fucking 7. I didn't want to see Peter Cottontail in my... You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck. Grandma, I don't want to eat that octopus. Like, now, as I got older, I dig only my grandmother's octopus. But it was just weird eating that shit growing up. A lot of fish.
That's immigrants, though. Immigrants, they pack your lunch with weird shit.
Yeah.
Here's provolone. Like, no one else has that shit.
Smelling up the whole fucking cafeteria.
St. George. I'm bringing St. George cheese and lunch.
Yeah.
It's hot. Motherfuckers are like, I'm getting bullied.
What's that smell? I'm like, that's your upper lip, motherfucker. Leave me alone. Leave me and my Portuguese ass alone.
That's right. Taste this fucking cheese.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go ham on that
got
cheese.
The stinkiest cheese.
Yeah.
The stinkiest cheese.
Mm-hmm. That shit's good. We used to fucking put it in the pop such and fuck like big thick pieces of cheese. It's like Constipation City.
Yeah.
Eat that shit with like chocolate milk.
Oh God. Oh.
I grew up on that shit, shitting my brains out every morning.
Oh, yo, my stomach. I don't know, man. I don't know.
See, I grew up more Italian. It's like the opposite between us. Like, I grew up Italian because my mom has plenty of family here.
Okay, cool.
I never see them, but my grandmother and my grandparents like helped raise me and my brother because of my parents ain't gonna pay for a babysitter when they're at work, my parents are working, so they're like, here you go, Grandma and Grandpa.
Of course.
So there's a lot of Italian shit like that.
Well, from what I gathered over there, they're wicked. Italians are wicked family oriented. Like, here's the only place where, like, if you live with your mom and dad, you know what I mean, you'll get flamed to after a certain age. In Italy, they're like, bitch, this is our house, and you'll move downstairs, and they keep their wealth in the family to provide on, and then the kids take care of their parents as the parents take care of their kids, and just a mentality. Like, I almost miss being out there because they had this thing. I don't know if it's called like Reposto or something like that, but every day from like 11 to 1, they just fucking close everything.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, they have the mentality of we're going to work to survive and enjoy our life. Oh, to where here, coming back here, it was like fucking
You have to work.
You have to work. Like, I'm sucking 5 dicks to pay my mortgage and working overtime to where it's not like that over there.
No. And it's funny because I always bring up how Europeans smoke cigarettes. They smoke cigarettes, they drink coffee, they do all the things that over here people are like, no, don't do that. You're going to die. That's not good for you. But they live, and they're old motherfuckers, still smoke, 85, smoking cigarettes. It's like, maybe it's not the cigarettes. Maybe it's the fucking constant.
It's their diet.
It's the diet, that too, but it's like they're not stressed like us. We, Americans, we go 100 miles an hour every day, all the time. And if we're not doing that, we're either self-conscious about it or like other people are telling us. Like, it's the exact opposite of what you said. In other countries, parents are like, yeah, live with us. Who gives a fuck? Get married, live with us, live in the basement. Who cares? Nobody gives a fuck. Over here, if you're still living at home, your family's standing over you. Get the fuck out, you bum motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
It's the complete opposite.
It absolutely is. I mean, they just have a different mentality in general. And let me tell you, they're animals. They're animals. I'm a pretty avid coffee drinker, I would say. I can have up to 3 coffees a day, right? But they have something called espresso. And I was, I went there, and I went into this little Anne Frank hotel. I swear to God, it was my first. I was in processing for the military, and I was like, what am I going to do? They have like a little, like old, not a flat screen. Now, mind you, this is like 2015, and it's like a tube TV, all Italian, nothing. But I go, and I'm like, I'm just going to go grab a coffee. I have a coffee, and I'm an ignorant American, and I see it's in this gay little cup like this. And I'm like, he's like, you want a coffee? And I'm like, no, like, give me 3 of them.
Yeah.
And I put it in a cup. And I had 3 espressos, and I swear to God, I almost had a fucking heart attack.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's no jokes. I was sweating.
Yeah.
Hot flashes. That their coffee is no joke.
I love that shit.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
I love an espresso. That's really what I drink. I mean, I work at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, do you? Cool.
Which isn't far from here.
You do comics?
I have done comics. I did a bringer show there. Mm-hmm. It was weird. It was definitely weird.
Did a lot of people? You would think that room would fill itself out because it's the fucking the casino.
It's a big room. Have you been there?
Yeah.
It's big. That room is big.
I did. I'm not gonna say names, but I did a show, and it was a 2-person bringer, and I brought 2 people, and so did the other 5 comics, and we performed for 10 people, and I was like,
damn. When I went,
you mind if I grab it?
go ahead. Yeah. You can do the rum too. I don't give a fuck. That's why I brought it over.
Cool.
There's a opener on this if you need it. Yeah, I did a show. I did a bringer show there, and there were supposed to be 8 comics, and 5 of them called off. There were only 3 of us.
Oh my God.
And the 3 of us, we needed to bring 5 people. I think I ended up getting like 6 or 7 to show up, which is cool. But the other 2 between them brought like 40 people. So most of the crowd is there for one of these 2 other guys, specifically. That's like one of the problems with bringers. Bringers are good if you got people to come and you don't feel bad asking people.
I would love to have this. I don't mean to cut you off, but I would love to have this conversation, right? So bringers. Trevor Dion recently hurt my feelings, right? But like it was so valid when I thought about it. He was like, bringers are just glorified open mics, which is correct, kind of. But the way I tend to look at it, I tend to be optimistic, right? And I'm like, well, those who everyone else brings, right, is potential listeners, potential fans who are going to follow you now, right? But the beauty of that for me, like maybe you brought your 8 people, but now you're performing for 40 people that have never seen you before. Now maybe they follow you.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, but I will say that the difference between going in front of a bringer audience and just a regular audience is that some people are there just to watch their friend. They're there just to specifically support the person that made them show up. So they might not even... Whereas a show, if you do just a straight show, then it's like they're just showing up for the show. Like I did 2 shows. I was fortunate enough to do 2 shows last weekend. No, this is coming out next week. 2 weekends ago, September 10th in New York. And it was dope. It was 2 Saturday shows, late night, back to back, and people were just there. They paid. They didn't give a fuck who was on the lineup. They're like, oh, there's a show here. Let's go. Those are the best audiences, I would say, because there's no bias, you know?
I've done both as well, but majority I would say I've done way more bringer shows than I've done actual shows. But
at this stage, yeah,
I definitely tend to like the regular audience more. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of like my time in comedy. I see a lot of guys who'll be like, "Oh, that's the audience. We've got a bad audience," or "Oh, they're just not laughing at shit." And I can't disagree with that more. To be honest with you, I'm like, it's on you.
Right.
It's on you to make them laugh, you know what I mean? Gain their attention and get them to listen to you. You know what I mean?
No, that is definitely part of it. But I think what happens is people have a style, and it's hard for them to diverge from whatever it is that they're doing. So, like, if you go up there and you have a particular style of comedy, might not work in this room. Like that
I agree with.
I think that's valid. But there is a part of it that is on you to try to use whatever other skills you have. If you can do crowd work, if you can do rants, if you can tell a story and kind of switch and kind of read a crowd, that's like a different level, I think. I think that comes with time, that comes with experience and being able to switch gears, you know?
Right. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always try and go with it with the best attitude I can. You know what I mean? If I bomb, I bomb. What's your worst bomb story? Do you get a bad bomb story?
Yeah. I got the bomb story that stopped me doing comedy for like 4 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to hear this. I want to hear this story.
I've said it on here before, but I'll tell you. So when I first got into comedy, I was like 18.
Okay.
And I wasn't taking it super seriously. I was doing it like, this is cool. I've always wanted to do it. But I was also 18. You're a shithead. You don't know how to do anything when you're 18.
Right.
So, you don't know how to take shit seriously, whatever. So I was doing like 1 open mic a week. On Sundays, Pub on Park. That's why John Parada was like, oh, I remember you from all those years ago. Because back then, he would be the one that you would ask, instead of Steve, you would text John and be like, let me get on a mic tonight. And It was on Sundays, the Pub on Park, not Mondays. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was doing that for a little while. I did a show at the Comedy Connection. I did really well. He has Tourette's, people. In case you notice, it's the elephant in the room.
Homo. That wasn't a tick. I just really wanted to do that. Sorry.
That's got to be a good excuse to do that type of shit.
Oh, dude, I was so excited when the doc. Most people would be like, "Oh, this is life altering." I was like, "Yes, I can call my boss a fat bitch." Awesome. You know what I mean?
That's like every kid. That's like every boy's joke when they're a kid. It's like, I wish I had Tourette's so I could just fucking swear.
South Park literally changed my life with that one episode where Cartman got Tourette's. Yes. You know what I mean? I loved that whole thing. That's literally what I heard. Like that same thing. I was like, I got a golden ticket. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna call everyone, all sorts of gays and bitches. Yes.
Oh God. But anyway, so I was doing this fucking comedy thing, half in, half out, dumb kid. And one of the shows that I did was a comedy contest, like we were talking about before. And the winner got like $200 or some shit.
Jeez.
And it may have been like one of the bigger crowds I've done at that time. It was packed. The Pub on Park was mobbed. I know you've done shows there. Have you done like a show at the Pub on Park?
Yes, I have.
I don't know what those look like now, but this contest was fucking mobbed. There were a lot of people there. I needed people to show up for me. Thank God they fucking didn't. But I went up there, and again, stupid kid, didn't know that when you have a show with like higher stakes, you should go up there with material that works, not something completely brand new. Mm-hmm. So I went up there and I did something completely brand new. And it was like, and I was first. I was the first one.
Dude, we have the same story.
And I went up and I did a joke about, and it wasn't like easy material. It was like fucking edgy material. I went up there and I had the idea. Oh shit. Is that the gangsta Harry Potter calling you?
It is. Because I'm a G and I like Harry P. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can I take this for a second?
Yeah. Go ahead. We'll be back, folks.
Hey, call my mother. Actually, call my sister. Chase is with her. I'm doing a podcast. It's my ex-wife.
Nice.
She's on the spectrum.
Can't go wrong with those.
The LGBTQ spectrum. I wish I would have just turned the camera. She's a big old lesbian.
Now she is?
Yeah. That's why we got divorced. Yeah.
Wow. What a switch.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a Motley Crue song? It was
What a
about
switch.
Like, no. It was about like, there was a song that they made about your girl leaving you for a girl, and it's worse than her leaving you for a guy because you can't do shit about it.
Well, way to just stick the thumb in, bud. I don't know. Fuck you too, bud. I don't know what to tell you. I do know Real Big Fish. Real Big Fish has My Girls Like Girls Now. I really like that song, but I'm a big ska person. But yeah, no.
Ska?
Big homo, that girl. Nice. But speaking of the Harry Potter, we actually had like a magazine Harry Potter wedding too, dude.
Really?
It was pretty sick, yeah.
Matt, what do you mean magazine? What is that?
Like it was in magazines. Like it was fucking. We went all out. Yeah.
Wow, you're a big Harry Potter guy.
Yeah. Well, not so much anymore. But now that JK don't like the gays, but there's a hit to the heart.
Right.
But besides that, we all have our fandoms. I like video games and nerd shit.
Yeah.
To be honest, and MMA.
I never. Oh, we'll get into that. But I never liked like movies with like fucking witches and dragons and all that shit. I never like Game of Thrones. I never got into it.
It's the Portuguese in you.
Yeah,
it's
I
all
guess
the
so.
evil. It's all the evil coming to get you.
So I go up there and I do a bit that I haven't worked out, and it can be horribly offensive, right? The idea in my mind, the premise, funny premise. What if slavery was reversed? What if a bunch of African kings pulled up to fucking the UK and they pulled off a bunch of white guys and brought them back to Africa and had them till the fields and shit like that? And the joke in my mind was like, oh, white people are going to complain. They need Starbucks and sun lotion and all this shit. But I didn't have a way to make it funny. I was just up there, well, what about? And I'm a fucking nervous little 18-year-old. And I went for 5 minutes and not a sound. Like, a bomb is at least maybe one or two, you're mostly bombing. This was like an annihilation.
Killed the whole set.
Not a sound, dude. And I was the first one. Everybody after me, there were like 13 other comics, all killed. Effortlessly killed. Like, it was a good crowd. I just was awful. And after that, I stopped for like 4 years. And that's probably my biggest bomb.
Dude, I did that at Pub on Park too, to be honest with you. I was up first, and I didn't prepare. I was going through the thing with my ear, right? So I was having super headaches. It had just happened, and I really kind of didn't care what I said. And I walked up there with this new bit about like butt wafting awareness. It was a stupid joke, right? Of where like you're hitting a girl from the back, and I got a big belly, so it wafts the air into your nose, and it smells like shit. But then I went worse. Mind you, these people are eating, but whatever. And I go, you think that hashtag is bad? That's almost. I said something about bulimia. And I said my last hashtag was hashtag bulimia regret, meaning if I knew I was gonna throw everything up, I would have sprang for the mozzarella sticks. Like it was a just completely bad joke, bad taste, fucking just. It hurt, man.
Yeah.
I killed. Actually, I didn't do too bad after that, but I was first up, so I set that line. I was like, no bulimia jokes, guys. Don't cross that line too hard. Because some crowds can be temperamental.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Which I'm learning. You know what I mean?
I find the more depraved a crowd, the more you can get away with. Like, depending on where you're doing a show. Like, have you done the Comedy Connection yet? Have you done a bringer there?
Yeah.
Usually, the shows go well.
That's one of my favorite times I've ever done comedy still to this day.
Yeah.
I
awesome.
loved it.
But I think part of that is because most of the people in Providence, I mean, Providence is a pretty desolate fucking place. Like, there's not a ton of hope. It's nice. It's nice. I still put Providence over all of Connecticut across the board.
Wild.
Like, the entire state of Connecticut pales in comparison to just Providence. And people from Providence, like, they hate it. They dislike Providence for whatever reason. I'm like, you could be in a way worse place.
I love Providence.
Yeah.
I love it very much.
No, it's nice.
I left Rhode Island. I went all around the world and still came back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's awesome. But I agree with you 100%. We got a real weird mix of, like, Trumpers and real hard libertarians. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't know. I can say I've never been worried about what I say in Rhode Island, ever. And
Exactly.
I think that's where I feel comfortable. To where I've gone to Boston, I was worried about if I say this joke, will I get beat the fuck up? You know what I mean? Like, I told a dude he had a lace front beard, and I was worried that I was going to get beat the fuck up. But
Right.
it was good, but you always got a question. Like, it's not what happens when you go out. Crowds are different. I don't know much about scenes on the West Side, but I know, like, doing comedy out there, it's looked down upon to do, like, crowd work, to where here, that's the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love crowd work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, crowd work, I feel, is definitely a comedic skill. But I think we talked about this one night, how we were saying, or how I was bringing up the point that, like, comedy at the highest level, when you watch a special, there's usually not crowd work. I mean, sometimes there is, but bookers, from what I understand, in comedy clubs and shit, they want, like, a tight five. If you get a tight five and you get passed at a club, then you can do whatever you want. But to even get passed for things, you need to have a tight whatever the fuck it is. Just like when you watch a Letterman set or a late night set, which don't mean anything anymore. But when they did mean things, it was very well written. It was like, you got 7 minutes, it's got to be tight, go out there. There's no fucking around. Where if you're really good at crowd work, if you got phone book disease, then you can fill time. You can fuck off, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think to me, it's kind of like if you like rapping and freestyling. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of comics have stuff in the back of their head that they would want to say when they come out, but there's something beautiful about just having that interaction where he says exactly what you want to say to throw you the alley-oop for you to just fucking slam dunk it, you know what I mean? But I started doing crowd work and just went to him. You know, I came out calling people all sons of bitches and, like, fucking around, and I learned you have to win the audience first. You have to establish the trust or whatever. I mean, depending on your style. Me personally, I can't just be like, "Hey, what's up, faggot?" You know what I mean? I can't do that.
Right.
Know?
Most people can't. I mean, even people who do mostly crowd work, like when you watch Parada, it's still fun. Like, he's not just straight shitting on people. He's saying, like, outlandish things.
Right, and he's playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a little different.
But I love shitting. But that's how, maybe it's because it's just how I grew up, and all my friends, me and my friends would always shit on each other, and it's how I showed love, and they showed me love as well, and it's so weird. Like, I want the room to experience like that, but I think it just comes off as bullying,
right?
When I do it, but it's always out of love, man. It's always out of love, but it's weird to see how certain crowds react to certain things. You know, I could say something that I would perceive as mean to where people laugh, to where something I perceive as not mean. You know. People get I'll die the whole set.
Yeah.
Because they don't like what I said.
Yeah, I watched one of the best examples of crowd work I ever watched was a guy named Ryan Reese, who's like he does work with Dave Attell.
One of the best comics ever. Yeah.
Oh my God, so fucking good. And I did a show in New York, and this guy just came and did a drop-in set, and I was like, this dude is fucking phenomenal. Like, this guy is so who the fuck is this guy? And I looked up who he is, and I'm like, okay, he's been on Letterman, he's done a bunch of shit. No wonder he's a fucking animal. But he was doing crowd work that was like, it was insane. He's going with this person, and then he goes over to this person, and now he's connecting the two. He's like, you see what the fuck this person said? Now, it was like drawing humor from thin air. This motherfucker was a tactician at that shit. And in New York, I mean, they're so good at that. There's so many... once you get to a point where you can just do drop-ins at clubs...
Yeah,
you're going to have great audiences all the time. It's not like you're going to do a drop-in somewhere and you're fucking... It's like an open mic, you know? Mm-hmm. Like guys that are dropping in at the Cellar or any of those clubs. If you got that much clout where you can just, hey, I want a spot tonight. I mean, you're going to have a good audience.
Comedy Cellar, you
Yeah.
got to be, somebody, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do something.
I mean, that one in particular. Comedy Cellar's like...
That's my dream. I haven't made it out to New York yet, man. I haven't made it out.
It's worth it.
I'm gonna get out there soon.
Yeah.
I got to, and it's not too far away. Why not? But I gotta look up the mics and figure out. You gotta pay to go up, don't you?
So a lot of them you do. Yeah, a lot of them you got to pay.
How are the mics though? Is it usually pretty filled?
Yeah, I mean it's full of comics, but they're paying attention usually. Like they're not. Like, so, a lot of the times you go to mics, and it's just comics looking at their phones, trying to figure out what they're going to go up and do.
Right, of course, yeah.
And I'm not saying that doesn't happen at these mics in New York, but they definitely pay attention. Like, they'll give you laughs, or they won't give you laughs, which is just as good.
Yeah,
right? You got to know.
Response is a response.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, and it's a little tougher to get stage time because there's so many comics. Mm-hmm. But... you just got to jump on it, and there's a ton of options.
Yeah, I can't wait. One of these weekends, when he goes with his mom, I'm gonna get one of those inflatable air mattresses and just put it in my car and sleep out there for a week. You know what I mean? And just hit as many mics as I can and get as much out of it as I can. But I've been traveling. I traveled a little bit. I went to Connecticut. I've been working my way into Quincy and then Boston and everything. But I haven't made it out to New York yet. But it's definitely on the list.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, there's Julius and Kim Donat. They put together shows, I think 3 shows a week.
Okay, cool.
Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And it's a bringer show, so you need people to show up. I don't know if you got anybody in New York.
I would make it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
100%.
And it's dope because you're on a show with other comics your level, but there's pros there as well.
That's pretty sick.
Which is dope. So people will come for the pros, but they also get to see, the newer guys as well.
Yeah, I performed with Doug Key. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I seen him at Mark Norman's show when he opened for Mark Norman. Dude, Mark Norman, I just gotta say, is my second favorite comic of all time right now.
Who's your first of all time?
Of course, Tosh.
Really?
Yes,
Daniel Tosh is your number one?
I don't care what anyone says. Yes,
Wow.
Tosh is my favorite comic of all time.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I get a lot of shit for it. I'm not gonna lie. Whatever. I mean, there were 10 million great comics. You know what I mean? I love Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle, and I think they're great. Dave Chappelle molded youth with the Chappelle show was amazing.
Right.
Absolutely amazing. But for me, man, Tosh got a special place in my heart. Just a douchebag humor. I just love it.
I remember Tosh was huge. I remember watching Daniel Tosh on Comedy Central before Tosh.0, and I was like, he was funny. That's hilarious, dude.
That's the Tosh I'm talking about. Like that bit, I won't do his bit, but when he talks about a little girl got killed in his neighborhood and they put the speed bumps in.
Yeah.
And he was like, what a bad way to remember your daughter. You go over the speed bump and you're like, Emily. And I'm just like, dude, that's a fucking outstanding joke, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
I replaced my sister's pepper spray with silly string. Dude, come on. That's my kind of shit.
Yeah. No, he's fucking great. And he's straight edge. I don't know if you knew that. He doesn't do no drugs, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, no. Completely
he's just a
opposite
psycho.
of him on stage. Yeah, sociopath like me. It's very cool.
Yeah, which is funny because you always hear about like horror stories about comics. Like I don't know if you listen to other like comedy podcasts. Those are like the most popular ones, I think.
Well, when you said that, instantly Bert Kreischer came to mind on, I don't know if he said it on like Two Bears or the Bert cast, but he was, which I'm also a huge fan of both of them. But he was basically like, rate yourself on how you are in comedy to how you are outside of comedy. And he rated himself like a 10 out of 10. He's a party animal. He goes whatever he does. And he said, he used specifically Tosh as an example. And he's like a 2 out of 10. He goes, he's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing like he is on stage.
Right.
And that's like an interesting concept to be like, to have that thought process and become someone different on stage.
It's almost like whatever is driving the crazy comics to do crazy shit isn't affecting people like Daniel Tosh or Tim Dillon. It's not affecting them the same way. Instead, it's making them psychos on stage. Not saying that the comics who are crazy like Bert Kreischer isn't a psycho on stage, but like it's almost like there's another like a Jesselneck who's also more or less straight edge, but he says some of the craziest, rawest shit you've ever heard. You know,
Which is so weird. I've been lied to my whole time doing comedy, man. Like they say always be authentic, right? So they can a crowd can sniff out your genuineness, right? But then you have someone like Daniel Tosh who's straight edge and saying all these horrific, jokes about being a bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a part of him somewhere. Like it's at least a part of his act. It's enough of a part of him that it became his style in which he does his fucking craft. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think.
Who knows?
But those are the best at anything, right? You were talking about MMA. Some of the best fighters are the guys that fight however they are personally. Like, whenever you can get an artist that is able to have a style of whatever the fuck they're doing that is conducive to who they are as a person. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, biggest fighter in the world. Everyone knows him, Conor McGregor. He's a brash, fucking loud mouth, shit talker who's washed, more or less, at this point. Not washed, but he's
washed.
He's behind the curve with a lot of shit because he doesn't fight as much. But when he fights like you think that guy would fight. Like, he comes out, guns blazing, hard body, and then you watch a guy like Khabib who's very reserved, but you know that motherfucker's stone cold. You know, and he gets in there and he's like, I'm not playing no games. I'm going to slowly maul you to death. You know, like that kind of thing. I think when you see someone who's able to do that, then that's where the mastery of whatever, art that person pursues, I think.
I agree with you, man. Khabib's a bad motherfucker, though. You see that shit in the news about him calling out dudes saying he needed more Muslims around him?
Hamza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
No. This has to do with Khabib, but we were talking about living at home and shit. He lives with his whole family.
Really?
In a house in Dagestan. Like, he didn't leave. He's like the greatest fighter ever. And the motherfucker lives in a house with his fucking...
It's because he got his parents yelling at him the whole time to stay true to his things, like my Portuguese family. 100%. Stay true to fighting. You're going to fight. That's it. But, I'm a big fan of MMA myself, man. But you train too, dude. Didn't you bring those fighters to Jake and Johnny's that night?
Larkin, the kid who's got the mushy
the
ears.
Cauliflower, yeah.
He, I met him training, 4 years ago now, a little while ago. Little tidbit, since this is our first time kind of having like a sit down conversation.
This is the most I've ever talked to you ever. This is the most I've ever.
Right.
Maybe a really blackout drunk. I've talked to you a while.
By accident, yeah.
No, not by, well, yes, by accident, admittedly, yeah. But yeah, no, with Dick and Johnny, I remember that one conversation. I was like, oh, this dude's really fucking cool. But
I've been in the martial arts since I was a child. Since I was like 5 years old.
so you can kick some ass.
I guess. I don't know. But I haven't been training out here because I'm broke as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I can't afford a gym. But why did I even get on this topic?
We were talking about MMA, Khabib.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, you were saying that I brought Larkin. That's what it was. I met him years ago. He's been on the show a bunch of times. But that motherfucker trains all the time. I mean, he just got a new job. But before that, I mean, he was a strength and conditioning coach. He was all these things. And that motherfucker will strangle you. Like jiu-jitsu, that kid is... That's his specialty right there.
Shit. I started training for a little bit. I would say like 4 years, but I started training because I got beat up by a kid. I had a bad attitude with this one kid, and he had to be like 5'5", non-threatening at all. You know what I mean? I'm like, look at that little guy, that's cute. You know what I mean? And turns out this dude is all-state wrestler. And
shit.
yeah, I got my ass kicked by a 5'5" fucking Oompa Loompa dude. Gave me 2 black eyes. I was really drunk, so I didn't go out, but he was like punching me both fists. Number one, bear hugged me, foot swept me straight into full mount because I was just like, I think I see Jesus. And I went down and fucking just straight on top. Boom, boom, boom. 2 black guys. It fucked up, and from then on, I was like, dude, I'll never, ever get beat up like that again, man. I'm fucking drinking, especially by a fucking midget. How embarrassing. In front of my ex-wife. You know what? That's why she left me right there. It was because, well, she's my girlfriend at the time, but yeah, right in front of her, dude got beat the fuck up.
By some small guy.
I've had a lot of emasculating moments in my life, guys, but that was one of the rough ones.
Is there anything scarier than being under a guy and you can't get him off you? I don't know if there's much scarier shit in life than a situation where you know you're fucking helpless against this person.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think I loved training. I love the competitiveness of it, and I love, like, it's really, like, the way I perceive it. It may not be, but it's, like, life or death. It's, like, either this, it's, like, who's the better man? This is me or you. Obviously, when I trained, it was, like, all love is to help each other get better, but ultimately, at a core, this is, like, who's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's self-defense at the end of the day. I mean, people get wrapped up in competing, right? Like, once Conor McGregor got in the UFC and was talking shit, everyone's like, I'm going to be a fighter.
Yeah.
And, like, being
for the record, one of the greatest shit-talking MMA stars of all time. I loved him talking shit.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, Chael's the Godfather. Chael's patient zero.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome as well.
Chael Sonnen's like the first one to be the villain. But, I mean, Conor ran with it. Conor ran with it because he was KOing motherfuckers.
Yeah, he was on a pretty good streak.
Yeah, I mean, he was. It's one thing to beat guys, but when you're talking...
Calling it.
Relentless shit, and then you're saying against some of the greatest fighters in the world. I mean, you're in the UFC. These are some of the greatest fucking combat athletes in the fucking world.
Dude, he knocked out Aldo in like fucking 5 seconds, dude. That was
stupidness.
I was so pissed, as a matter of fact. I bought that pay-per-view and I seen him get knocked out in 5 seconds, and I was like, I just wasted $80 fucking dollars. Fuck.
Dude, he did that at like 26 years old. People don't realize that. Like,
he's that young.
He's been in the UFC for a little while. Like,
I remember watching his come up videos, but I wasn't really a big. I think the fight right before Aldo, the one where he was talking about dude's wife, and he's like, "You whip out the red panties." When
it was he fought Chad Mendez.
Yeah, but I think I started watching during that fight, and then started following him.
Yeah.
And then I seen like the couple good fights, and then I seen him and Cowboy were both on like a 3-fight loss and streak, and then he came and I think he head kicked Cowboy and knocked him out.
Oh my god, dude.
That was a nasty fucking knockout.
That was like they were both on. I think that was Conor's first fight back when he lost to Khabib.
Dude, that was rough.
And
that was rough.
He came back and said, "I'm gonna fight Cerrone at 170." And I was telling people, I'm like, don't be surprised if Conor finishes this fight early as fuck, because historically, Cowboy's a slow starter, and anybody that usually beats him, like I don't know if you watched him fight Darren Till, if you start early with him, he for whatever reason he can't get his footing. It's weird. Not weird. It's just his whatever the fuck he does. It's his style. And Conor went out there and started banging him with those shoulders. Fucking bloodied his nose.
I remember that. Yeah.
Bloodied his nose with shoulder strikes, and then just separated and head kicked him.
That was so bizarre to watch. That was so bizarre in the clinch or whatever, and he's just hitting him with his elbows. I don't know. That man can dance. I love whatever he does, where he just like crosses and then like that. Whatever he does it beautifully.
That was the thing about watching him. It was like you could watch him and be like, this guy can do anything. He can throw anything from anywhere. His movement is phenomenal. And it's funny because Conor or Nate was talking shit, and he's like, why are you playing touch button the park with that dork with the ponytail? And then after that fight, after Nate beat him, since then, Conor hasn't done that shit. That touch button the park. And it's like he's been on a skid. You know, maybe that's what he needs.
Dude, congratulations to Nate. Did you see him the pay-per-view last week?
Yes.
Was it last week?
Yeah, against Tony.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson. I caught that one as well.
I thought he was going to beat Hamzat. Call me crazy, but I thought he was going to beat Hamzat.
I don't think that would have happened.
I think Nate is... I think Joe Rogan said it best. Nate was going to find out if you're for real. Like, if you're legit and you're fighting Nate Diaz, then it'll come out. If you're not legit, if you're not for real, and you're fighting Nate Diaz, it is a long fucking night.
I would have preferred the latter. I would have preferred to watch him fight. I don't say his name because I can't fucking pronounce it. What is it?
Hamzat.
Hamzat. Yeah, I would have preferred watching that fight rather than Ferguson. To be honest with you.
So you would have rather watched him fight Nate? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Rather than watching Ferguson, but that whole card got changed out.
It's the first time ever that anything like that has happened.
That was odd.
That was wild. I mean, you give Hamzat, who missed weight, but is the star child right now of the company, with all the other stars not fighting or whatever. The only guy that's doing anything is Hamzat. Mm-hmm. Only guy that's making any noise.
Why do you think Nate would have beat him?
It was a 5-round fight, which Hamzat has never seen before.
Okay.
I think Nate has like a wealth of experience that Hamzat hasn't seen yet. Like, Nate's been in the UFC for like 20 years, fighting all the best guys. His record might not be great. He's like 25-10 or something.
I've never seen someone who could eat a punch like fucking Nate.
I mean, my God. That guy has a fucking brick on his shoulders. Like, that dude is got to be one of the most durable people that we've ever got to watch fight, ever.
I agree.
Like, one of.
As an entertainer, he's probably one of my he's probably one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but
I mean, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was gangsters. I'm not surprised, motherfucker. Stockton slap. I never really watched his brother though.
Nick
Diaz.
Oh my God, dude. Nick at one point was the baddest motherfucker fighting.
Really?
Nick was a bad man. Nick would fucking. I mean, he was just early on. He was early on in MMA. He was doing all the shit that Nate was doing, but better. Like, he would put paces on people that they just would, just like Nate does. Nate drags into the deep water, but Nick was just better. Nick was fucking. His hands were better. He was just as durable, if not more durable. He fought everybody. He talked shit, like more shit than anyone. You know Mayhem Miller? Remember the show Bully Beatdown?
I loved Bully Beatdown. Yeah, yeah.
Mayhem just fought somebody and beat somebody that was on Nate's team. I think this was
Shut
the
the
story.
fuck up. Recently?
No.
I was like, no way.
Years ago. This was in like Strike Force or some shit.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah, last time I heard about that dude, he was like posted up in a house getting raided by SWAT or something.
yeah, he went sideways.
Yeah.
Mayhem Miller.
That's really unfortunate.
But he fucking Nick started a brawl in the cage with those guys. It was like a big thing. It was like way before Khabib did it. You know,
big dick energy. Jesus Christ.
I mean, Nick used to talk shit and just punch the living. Like he fought Shamrock. I forgot which one. Ken. He fought Ken Shamrock in Strike Force, and Ken he couldn't do anything. Anywhere he moved, he was getting punched. Nate was just tap, 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 tap. And people don't realize, like, when you're getting tapped, it's not like you're getting hit once and you're like, it's an accumulation of these. Ooh, ow. And that's tiring you out. Your body's tensing up. And he's just bink, 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 bink. Boxing with Andre Ward, one of the best I don't know if you follow boxing, but Andre Ward is one of the best boxers of all time ever. And he's boxing with Andre Ward, and Andre Ward's like, oh, motherfucker can box. It's like, he was a problem. He was a problem, Nick Diaz.
What made him stop? What did he have? He had the marijuana?
Bullshit, absolute bullshit. He got bagged on weed, which is legal in the UFC now. I mean, people smoke weed at the weigh-ins. He bagged for weed, and they bagged him for 5 years. They suspended him for 5 years.
Off of weed?
And he was like 32. It was like his prime physical condition. Mm-hmm. And they took years of his prime away, or an extended period of time of his prime away, because he ended up appealing it so many years in, and they reduced it to like 14 months. But he still, I mean, they fucked him. They fucked him bad. They wouldn't even let him in the arena for a while. He was just like blackballed from the UFC. Because he was a real motherfucker. I mean, he would talk shit. He's like, they're selling you wolf tickets, guys. When he fought George St. Pierre, he fought George St. Pierre for the title in the UFC.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And the first time he was supposed to fight George, he didn't show up to the press conference, and they canceled the fight. And then the next time, in order to fight George again, he had to beat BJ Penn. He had to beat like 3 other guys. And then he beat the fuck out of BJ Penn, and that's, I don't know if you've seen the meme where he's like, where you at, George? And his face is all beat up, but he's like, where you at? But he's calling George out. And then they reschedule the fight, and he's at the press conference, and he's like, UFC's selling you guys wolf tickets. And what he was meaning was that, I don't know if you remember how GSP would fight later on in his career. He would take guys down, hold them. It'd be kind of boring.
Yeah, 1,000%, yeah.
So he's like, he's selling you wolf tickets. You know, basically what he's saying is like, he's going to take me down probably and hold me, not do any damage, and he's going to win the fight. Like,
I understand preserving your body and everything, but I hate when that shit happens during the UFC, man. Especially, it's one thing if you're active, because I do like jiu-jitsu and I do like seeing the transitions and working them, but if you're just fucking laying on someone, it's really fucking lame to watch. But who am I? I'm a fucking fat guy, and I do comedy, and I'm talking about MMA fighting. Listen, don't beat me up, people. I don't care. It's just it's a hobby that I like to watch UFC. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, GSP and Khabib would be probably one of my fights that I would fucking...
Oh, that'd be so good.
I would fucking love. I don't remember who GSP fought, but I remember one specific fight where he came back for a while. He came out of retirement, came back, fought this one guy, fucked him up, and then just left again.
He fought Michael Bisping.
Okay, wow, yeah. I'm just like some guy.
Some guy. The champion.
What a douche.
He came back after years and moved up a weight class.
Wow, he changed weight and everything, huh?
He fought Bisping at 185, and Bisping was the champ. And he's like, I'm going to come back and win a belt, become a double champ, and fucking cash out this bitch. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he did.
And then dipped. What a gangster.
Yeah.
What a gangster.
And he finished Michael Bisping. He choked his ass the fuck out. Mm-hmm. And Bisping.
Yeah, but he was fighting. I don't remember the fight, like, obviously, take for take, but I remember him working Michael Bisping up top. That fight was not boring at all to watch.
No.
That was an outstanding fight.
That's why it's the coolest fucking sport. I mean, I really only watch combat sports, more or less. I mean,
Yeah, me too. I don't do football, nothing like that.
I did fantasy this year. I fucking hate it. I hate fantasy football.
I hate football.
Do you?
I watch it if it's on, but
Yeah.
I'm not a big. I'm nerd comedy.
Now, when you say nerd, you were alluring to that. What kind of nerd? There's a lot of nerds. Like, you mean like anime and fucking...
Oh, hell no.
Oh, thank God.
No, I sit and I get fat
Japanese
and
shit.
I play 14. Dude, what is it? Oh, forget it. Before I get kicked. Really video games. I play video games and I just research hobbies all day. And
Like things that you want to try?
1,000%. I
Gorgeous.
hyperfixate. If you can't tell from this conversation, I'm all over the place all the time. And I generally will hyperfixate on something. Like maybe like 6 months ago, I really wanted to do tattoos. So like I bought everything for tattooing, fucking got the printers, got everything, the machines, everything, and did it for like a week. And then I was like, I'm cool with this. You know what I mean? It's a big waste of my fucking time. But thank God but comedy stuff.
Right.
That's about the only thing though.
Isn't that funny? I like comedy for whatever reason. Same thing with me. Like, I did 1,000 things. I know I'm a little younger than you, but there was
Dude, that guitar you had there, I was just with the guitar.
Yeah.
I was literally just in my basement 2 nights ago, drunk as hell, just playing music. I'm like, I'm gonna teach myself how to play this, and filming myself, thinking I'm the bomb.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, every night when I'll drink or something, and then I'll figure out something new I want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That just means you have a fucking active mind. As long as you got a couple things that you're fucking stuck to, like comedy, it sounds like. Like, for me, it's comedy and this podcast, you know?
Me as well right now. The two things that suck is comedy and podcast.
Yeah.
Comedy, podcasts, and video games. I can't get away. I'm 32
play?
years old. Everything.
Okay.
Everything. I'm not really I'm a single player kind of guy.
Okay.
But I do play the multiplayer shit, you know what I mean? But it's one habit I really got to break. I'm like Bobby Lee, man. I'll sit there and just play for 14 hours, get fat, not give a fuck. They're like, hey, you want to do this show? I'm like, fuck you. I'm playing whatever. you know?
Yeah. Do you stream?
No, all for the pleasure. I should stream.
Yeah.
But no, I just do it for me, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's some things that you can look at and do and monetize, but once you start trying to monetize things, like, it starts to take on a different identity. It may start to be a little bit more like work.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the time to escape, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the time to escape. I enjoy doing it, but also the market's super oversaturated.
Right.
What am I going to provide different? You know what I mean? Maybe
Right.
making jokes while I play,
No,
but not something I'm really interested in.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good to have some things, like, obviously comedy. We hope to one day make it our living. At least that's what I want, you know. I hope to make comedy and the podcast how I make money and support myself, you know.
Me too, man. Me too. I mean, I know I'm relatively newer, but I 100% I went face first. You know what I mean? I'd love to. I'm doing the podcast. I got the shows I'm booked for. I got working on a line right now of just merch. You know what I mean? And eventually producing shows. I just bought a whole bunch of equipment to produce shows. And that's really good. I don't care about, to be honest with you, I don't care about getting famous. I don't want to be Bert Kreischer, but like if I could just pay my mortgage, you know what I mean? That's all I really want to do.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it'd be great. You know what I mean? I'll always work and perfect my craft, but ultimately the main goal is just to pay my bills and do what I love. Because if you do what you love, you're never working.
Right.
You know
That's
what I
what
mean?
they say. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
I love it, dude.
I mean, I definitely love doing comedy, but, you know, I don't look at it as work. But you can definitely see that when you're doing if you start to get a busy schedule or you're doing the road or whatever, then you can see how it starts to change and your lifestyle starts to change, and you got to kind of understand that you're at a point where it's starting to become a livelihood, and there are some things like video games for you that it's good to keep out of that. Like, not everything needs to be a fucking money-making endeavor. It's good to separate shit, I think so.
100%. But I mean, yeah. I mean, what do I know? I would just assume, even at a local level, I'm sure I could put on and produce enough shows just in the local Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts that I could make enough money. But what do I know? I guess I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But to, support myself. There are plenty of companies out here that do it. You know what I mean? But ultimately, obviously, I would love to tour, but it's really not in my cards. You know what I mean? What I'd have to really focus on is the online portion, like TikToks, and really putting myself out and maybe releasing stuff through YouTube and hoping it catches on like that. Because ultimately, first comes my kid. So I'm a single dad. It's just me. You know what I mean? And I prioritize him over everything. So really going on the road for extended amount of times is really probably not for me.
It's tough, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will. I'm a hoe. I will definitely go. I'm just talking shit. It's because this man gave me a couple drinks. You know what I mean? I would I would absolutely fucking go on the road. But I don't know, man. I'm just taking it day by day.
Yeah.
Sucking one dick at a time.
Right. And you do suck dicks. That's.
Yeah, but don't get it twisted. I'll still beat your ass, people. Just French kiss you afterwards and say sorry. Hey.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I should have said that after I said faggot the first time. I'll be like, oh, by the way, I'm a little gay. Not gonna lie to you. I'm actually trying to bring faggot back. You know what I mean? Like black people use the N-word. I'm gonna be like, yo, what's good, my faggot?
Right.
Yeah, no, bad. Cool.
But that's such a like, there's some words, yes, it's offensive. But that word is it's so biting. Like, you could use it, for certain things.
It feels, I understand it feels so good. Dude,
it's like maggot.
Yeah. Oh, my God, you're prepared. Oh, I can't. He's comparing gays to maggots.
No.
You fucking filthy maggot faggots. Unreal. I don't know, man, but it's weird because recently I felt really weird about it because obviously I've used that word. I'm saying that word now. I've said faggot 5 times. I used to use it. It would be like a term of even endearing when I was a kid. Like, you fag, stop. And you'd be smiley because your boy, you know. And I don't know if it's an East Coast thing, but now it's weird because as I am out now. So I recently came out to my family, whatever and everything. I'm bisexual. I'm not fully gay, but it's just weird because now that I'm out, I feel weird towards people using faggot because I feel like a sellout. You know what I mean? Because I love the word faggot. I really do. But I also feel like I'm selling out by being that gay guy or that queer guy who's just call me a faggot. It's cool. You know what I mean? But I feel that way.
Right.
But how much of politics or people are telling is voices in my head of being hey, you know what I mean? Don't let them call you that. But when in reality, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's an individual thing. It's definitely an individual thing. I mean, the hate toward the word is a public thing, definitely. Most people dislike that word. But
I fucking love it.
I mean, it's a good word. It's a good word. We're not saying that it's a good word to call gay people. We're just saying that it's a good word for what it is as a word. Doug Stanhope, who's one of my favorite fucking comics of all time. I don't know if you've listened to much of him.
Of course,
but he's one of my favorites. And he has a bit where he says that. And he's and it was years ago, before all this cancel shit. And he's he says it, and he's listen, I'm not I don't hate gay people. I just really like the word. In fact, I'll suck your dick if you're fucking. I'll suck your dick to keep the word. That's how much I like it.
It was just a part of my childhood. You know what I mean? But I understand the hurt behind it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
Fuck. Don't be a fag. You know what I mean? Don't be a fag about it. You know? It's just. I feel like it's more because I disassociate. I disassociate like the meaning of the word with what it is actually versus like how I grew up with it, right? But I grew up pretty all right, you know what I mean? I was hazed for being gay my whole life, but that would have been the case whether I was straight, you know what I mean? Everyone at that point, you know, but how much of that is really like homophobia in society. So like, it's a double-edged sword.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, people, there's such a fixation. There's always been a fixation on words. That's where comedians thrive. I mean, one of the best comics ever, George Carlin, his whole thing was words. Like, it's just a word. It's if there's context and intent behind it, then it's one thing. Like, if you know this person to be a homophobic fucking prick, and he uses that word in a derogatory
then
nature,
it's on. Then it's on.
then it's one thing. But the thing is like, how do you differentiate that? That's the line that you took. Like, how do you know that this person isn't a fucking dickhead that's saying this word? And if he can say that one, then it's like, what other ones can you say, you know? Depending on context, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, as long as it's satire, no problems. You know what I mean? I don't care if people say it on stage. I don't care. But I'm not the fucking dictator of the word. You know what I mean? But for me personally, as a queer person, I don't care. Like, if you were to say it, but like, you know what I mean? I don't care. But I'm sure there are people who get up in arms about it. But
it's just like retard and retarded. It's the same thing.
Also love that word.
Yeah, it's a good one. What are you, retarded? Like, that sounds... That's childhood. Like, we would say that shit like a motherfucker, you know? Like,
I've recently switched to spastic. Like, what are you, a spastic? Because I've
heard that one you can't say now as recent.
Really?
Spaz is like a bad one. But not that. It's not like retard or fag level. Like,
I say spastic because I know that's what the English use for retard. So I was like, I thought I could slip it under. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Also a good word.
Yeah.
But like, it's all the intent behind the word. Like you said, man, I don't think of like actual special needs people when I'll literally say it to myself. If I like make a mistake or something, I'll be like, I'm retarded. You know what I mean? And then I'll keep going.
Yeah.
That sounded horrible. Oh, well.
Joey Diaz had a funny bit about that where he goes about the word fag. And he's like, a fag's not a gay person. He's like, you want to know what a fag is? It's like when, he's like, it's the person that when a fire truck is driving by and they put their fingers in their ears. It's so good. He's like, that's a fag.
That's the best fucking analogy that I've ever fucking heard. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Dude, Bill Burr's bit about it makes me fucking die too.
Yeah.
But what a fag is why men die early. Because you and your boys, I don't want to get into. I don't want to do his bit, but it's fucking awesome. If you really haven't heard it, you should fucking check it out. It's It's one of the best bits I ever heard. But yeah, no, Joey Diaz is like my fucking.
He's so funny.
Dude, he's the man.
Yeah.
Dude, when he talks about fucking restaurants having Liz and me, I fucking die every time.
When he used to do the podcast with Lee.
Lee Syatt, yeah.
So good. The Flying Jew, we used to call him.
Yeah. He's the untouchable guy. He's like, fucking cancel. You can't cancel me. Yeah. That shit's like, fake.
He's like, what are you going to cancel? He's like, I don't have shit.
That's true. You know what? I'm going to just go buck wild because I don't give a shit. You can't cancel me.
No. Exactly.
But even so, but that's society. I still feel weird about like even on my podcast, anything it almost like there's that line to where you don't want to say things. You know what I mean? Because you're worried about backlash. But like the hope is that the audience knows who you are and they get a general understanding, but obviously Joey Diaz has mastered. You know what I mean? They know like when he's like fat, you know what I mean? It's not. There's no hatred behind it.
Plus, he's from a fucking completely different era. Like that guy is like almost 60 years old. Yeah. Think about what life was like in the 60s. You ever watch like talk shows in the 60s or in the 70s? Like they didn't give it. Like Rodney Dangerfield sitting there saying, "I knew a girl so fat. Jesus, she's so fat. My God, she's so fat. She's so fat she wears high heels. She strikes oil." And the crowd's like, like now you can't fat. That's fat shaming. You can't say that. You know?
Really? You can't fat shame now?
I mean, you can, but people are like, come on. Like Lizzo is going to get up in arms about it.
Nah, Lizzo can't get up off the couch, let alone up in arms. Fat big ass bitch. I'm just kidding. I love Lizzo. Unreal.
Yeah.
But it's temperament. There's a difference between mean hardness and satire. I'm a fan for the satire, man.
Oh, me too. That's why, I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of Tim Dillon. Like, that motherfucker is the king of satire. He's so good.
If you show me a picture, let me see.
He's so good. I mean, he says some of the most wild shit. But that's part of being a comedian. I mean, you got to be fearless in some sense. You got to be ready to let it fly sometimes, you know? You can't. I mean,
yes, I've seen Tim.
You've seen him,
Jesus Christ, yeah, of course.
He's got a special on Netflix, and shout out to Netflix for stepping it up with the non-censoring, because they let him say anything.
Dave Chappelle, yeah. Well, even Dave Chappelle said that whole trans scandal, and they were like, "Fuck you, we're keeping Chappelle." Mm-hmm. You know. Which is, it's got to be freedom of speech. As much as I hate fucking racists, you know what I mean? You're going to protect what they say, because we wouldn't be able to say anything. You know what I mean? Once you start taking people's free speech away.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm on the spectrum of censorship that I don't think there should be any at all.
I don't either.
Ever.
Me either.
Like, if you're going to have a forum for anybody to say anything, then let them. I mean, you know, I feel like there shouldn't be any... I get it, it's tough, it can incite violence, you can start, you know, militias and whatever, but what does the news do? The news never incites violence? Come on. When you're watching one side of the news and they're blatantly attacking the other side, it's like, that's not there to incite violence, so you're going to block some fucking YouTube person or some comedian who's getting out to, you know, maybe the same, maybe more people. But realistically, the news is going to have more of an influence.
I'm gonna sound fucking crazy, but I think the news is the fifth branch of the government. I think it's I think it's a piece of the government in general, and even on a smaller level. I can't say I'm gonna beat you the fuck up on Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Without getting my fucking comment removed. Like, I can't even say anything, and maybe that's why I'm so for. Not that I wasn't for free speech in general, but like, I don't like censorship at all. You know what I mean? I want to be able to online bully people. You know what I mean?
That's fair, yeah.
I want to be able to call these guys faggots and retards, right. You know what I mean? And I can't because fucking I'm getting bullied by Facebook, by Mark Zuckerberg. Zucker and me.
They're kicking you off for nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's arbitrary, realistically. If they can kick off one guy, why can't they kick off... Like, who gets to say that what Andrew Tate is saying people can't listen to? Like, don't get me wrong, I don't agree.
No,
he's a rapey kind of guy. I'm not saying...
I'm not leaving my drink around him, you know what I mean?
But you can have the Taliban on Twitter. You can have the Taliban on Twitter, but you can't have Andrew Tate, who maybe has some human trafficking charges against him.
I don't have a Twitter. Is the Taliban on Twitter?
Yes.
What, really?
That's one of my...
What an outstanding career opportunity for comedians.
That's one of my biggest bits. I talk about how the Taliban's allowed on Twitter.
Oh, really? And just how you can interact with them on Twitter would be comedy gold. Has no one done this? Am I like... I don't know. I'm not big on the tweeting.
I like Twitter.
I'm going to use Twitter for porn. Yeah.
Interesting. Twitter, you can definitely get a lot of porn on.
I'm actually lying. I've never used Twitter for porn.
I mean, Twitter is...
Can you really?
Twitter's huge for porn. I can't get this. There we go. Twitter's huge for porn. I mean, because Twitter is more or less uncensored. As far as the social media goes, like when you're on Twitter, when you're on Instagram,
or you're on Facebook, there's usually like a thing that says censored,
Right.
you know, show me. Like you got to click a button that says show me, like I can see it, you know.
Twitter's just cock right in your
Twitter's
face.
cock. It's a lady backing into a dildo on her shower door. Like,
Oh, like my Tuesday. Cool.
yeah. You could definitely jerk off to Twitter. It's just put it that way.
Very, very, very cool. Yeah, it sounds like I gotta get a Twitter. It sounds like a good business. I mean, you'll catch me on Twitter at Robbie Cavaco tomorrow, hollering at ISIS.
That's right. ISIS. Isn't it funny that they just kind of pull up these...
We're like, hey, ISIS, it's 9/11. You guys making a whiz? Like, how is that? Is no one doing this? This is outstanding. The fuck?
I don't know how the Taliban's Twitter structure is. Like, I don't know if they have their own, like if there's a Taliban Incorporated page or some shit, where it's like they take over the account every once in a while and they have a guy tied up and they take pictures, or they live tweet. I don't know if that's what they do, or if members of the Taliban just have their own Twitters. You know?
I don't know either.
I don't know.
But I have so many jokes just in my head. Like, you can put me on camera, just make sure you get my good angle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
Which is fucked up, but
No.
whatever. Whatever. I was in the army.
Just don't blindfold my eyes. I got nice eyes. Let everyone see.
Unreal. Taliban on Twitter. Do you mind if we take a little smoke break, my friend?
Let's do it. We're going to go smoke cigarettes, people. We're going to come back. We'll be back.
Because we're degenerates.
That's right. All right, we're back, people.
Just got done smoking a fag.
Jeez. Before I tell you that story I wanted to tell you, I just want you to know that I just started smoking cigarettes. Like, just recently.
Stop it.
And I don't do it often. I don't have a pack. I even told you, like, once we're done tonight, I'm going to just toss. I mean, you're going to keep them, but if it was up to me, I would just throw them in the fucking garbage.
Smart man. Smart man.
It's funny because for the longest time, that was like my one thing. I'm like, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. Because for me, my grandfather had emphysema.
Okay, wow.
And for the longest time, I was like, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes in his honor. And then I just dissolved everything. Anything that ever mattered to me, I was like, fuck it.
I want to look at you in the face very emotionally, and I want to let you know that you failed him. That you failed him super hard.
I did.
And
But
yeah.
he can breathe well now.
Yeah.
In heaven.
In heaven. Yeah.
Maybe. If you believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I do like fairy tales. Speaking of fairy tales, we were talking about we were talking outside about fighting, and you train and smoke sometimes, or
Yeah, well, see, I don't typically smoke cigarettes. Like, I'll smoke a cigarette if I'm drinking.
okay.
As of recent, like I said, it's a new thing. It's just
It didn't taste like cock when you first tried it. You weren't like
when I first tried it, yes, and I was drunk, and I was like, let me see what you guys are talking about.
Let me try it a second time. Maybe it'll taste not like asshole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The first time I tried it, I was drunk, and I was like, this is what people do, and I smoked it. I'm like, ugh, this is terrible. And then the night after, I was in New York for like 2 nights. And the night after, I was like, come on, give me that. And I smoked a whole one. I was like, wow, that's nice.
It does give you a little high at the beginning, and you're like, cool.
I mean, I definitely feel it now, from a guy that doesn't smoke. And that was a big one. That was a 100. I've never smoked a 100.
Yeah, I'm always taking the big ones, bud. I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. I've been an avid smoker off and on for a long time. I actually just started the patch today, too. And I hit the patch, and I made a whole dramatic post about how I'm going to quit smoking, and which I am, you know what I mean? But, 2 in a day isn't so bad.
Compared to what's your normal ingestion?
Fucking A, pack and a half.
Pack a day, yeah.
Yeah, pretty tough. I love smoking them poles, man.
I read a Substack article. I don't know if you're familiar with Substack.
I swear to God, if you say something that's gonna give me a panic attack right now, I'm gonna be driving home. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I think I have emphysema. Like, dude, I literally bought a fucking house like right next to the hospital. That was my selling point. Like, I have severe like hypochondria that I think I'm dying every 10 seconds.
Right.
Dude, but it probably comes from like the tumor I had before. But now I just freak out like you're breathing heavy now. Now I'm just like, can I breathe? Jesus.
Now I do smoke. I smoke weed. I smoke a ton of weed. I don't have any tonight, unfortunately. But
good for me. I do not smoke weed.
you don't smoke weed.
You'll catch me maybe one time at a mic if Johnny Rotten is fucking peer pressuring me, and it'll be like, "Don't be a fag," you know what I mean? And then I'll do it, and I gotta chill on the fag. But I just love it. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, no. I found my happy medium is 2 hits. I can do 2 hits and then I'm good. But generally, I used to be a heavy smoker, like a heavy smoker of weed. And one day it just gave me a fucking panic attack.
Yes.
And ever since, I just turned off completely.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. It definitely, in recent years, has done that a little bit more to me. But I've already built a dependency on it, so I'm fucked.
Well, the weed now, like, it's a bit hacky, but, like, you forget how to fucking breathe, you know what I mean? And it raises... I actually wanted to do a bit about doing edibles, right? And I'm not a big edible person. And I took 100 milligrams to do it for the bit. I was like, it's a social experiment. You know what I mean? We'll film it. And, bro, I checked my heart rate. It went to 225.
God.
Which, if you don't know, that's like fucking... You're about to have a heart attack, dude.
That's
like,
big time.
It's pretty bad. Like 130 is high. I'm at 225, and I was like, I'll never touch it. From that point on, I was like, I'll never touch weed again.
Yeah.
I didn't know it could have like an adverse effect like that on your body.
Well, that's good that you figured it out.
Yeah.
Because a motherfucker like me, I'm just like, I'll just smoke it anyway and have the anxiety. Fuck it.
Nah, I learned my lesson. I'm a glutton for
brutal.
punishment, but not like that. Now occasionally, like when I was younger, I used to do it. Like I liked drugs. I liked all that stuff, especially when I was younger. But now it's just like I'll drink beers or I'll like occasionally psilocybin.
Right.
Like mushrooms, that's it.
Which is the best one?
Oh, mushrooms is the bomb.
It's so nice, isn't it?
It is the bomb.
I remember when I was younger being so scared of it. I'm like, oh no, that's the next step. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, this shit is nice. This is good.
It's a really like it's a really I don't know what to call it, not a spiritual experience, but it's a spiritual experience. It makes you realize a lot of things about yourself, and I dig it.
It's a nice if you take it in a microdose, it's a nice enhancer. That's what I find. It makes everything like a little, just like the twist on the end of a punch. It's like it's nice, you know.
What would you consider a microdose?
Like less than a gram, I would say, like a half a gram. Like if you ate like a cap or like a couple caps, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I could do that. I could eat a couple caps and go to work. Like eat a couple caps, take an espresso, and I'm fucking...
You're on one. Taking mushrooms and going to work.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell no. Hell no. I don't know. I've only had like trippy experiences, so I'm assuming with like micro, I can't do anything in little bits, obviously. You know what I mean? But like, dude, I remember one of the first experiences I had on mushrooms. I was just like, you know what? I was like 10 beers deep, and I had bought in a quarter of mushrooms, right? And I know from my perception is you're only supposed to do an eighth. You know what I mean? To really do it. I stuck my hand in the whole bag. And I was with a female. The worst move ever, by the way, guys. If you don't want to get laid, I took the whole bag and I ate the whole thing at once. And thinking I'd like look cool, and I'm like, I'm gonna see the devil tonight, not knowing that I'd have to chew for 45 fucking minutes, all the poo tasting in my mouth. But I ate it, and dude, I went to Texas.
Yeah,
like literally, that was my whole trip. Like, I asked her because obviously I didn't remember, and she was like, "No, you were talking about being in Texas." But I do remember the afterwards of tripping that I was never gonna stop tripping, and that was the worst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can definitely be... it can be so vivid that you're like, this might last forever.
Forever. Yeah, yeah, it's the worst. You're like, I don't think I think, you know how they say, like, your mind will never be the same after doing, like, acid or shrooms? I'm like, I just did that to myself. Like, good job, asshole. And then you start freaking out.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they say 5 grams is a heroic dose. That's what Terence McKenna calls it.
Really?
Terence McKenna is one of the first advocates, not one of the first, maybe like a public advocate for mushrooms. I have his book. I haven't read it yet, but
I did 7, baby.
Yeah.
7,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I went somewhere.
you saw Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy because like I did see Christ one time. Like I only did like maybe an 1/8, and I seen my buddy was hanging. You know how it can play tricks on you.
Yeah.
And he was like under a light like this. Oh, because my porch is low, and the light was shining beside his head, and all I seen was like like he was Jesus.
Wow.
But the quarter was. I'll never do it again.
Right.
I'll never do it again. It was definitely experience, but never again.
Yeah, I did an 1/8 for the first time recently, like a few months ago.
Okay, wow.
And it was way intense, way more intense than I had ever. Because I'd always done, most I've ever done was like splitting an 1/8, maybe 2 grams. And I'm like, this is good. Max. And then I ate a whole 1/8 and I was like, whoa.
I'm like 1/8 minimum.
Yeah.
Like that's the dose. Like
Yeah,
if you're gonna
yeah.
do anything, do an 1/8. But like I don't listen to me. I'm a crackhead. But I have a high tolerance to shit. You know what I mean? So I just assume,
Yeah.
which was not the greatest idea when I ate the
No,
water.
I think that there's a place for doing an 1/8. Like
Right.
when I took the 1/8 after a couple days, I was like you definitely needed a bit of a reset after doing that much.
Yeah, no.
know?
And no one ever talks about, like, when they talk, you know how your boys warn you, they try and make you feel comfortable. They're like, you're going to feel this or you're going to feel that. But they never tell you about the poos afterwards.
Yeah.
Like the problematic poos. That's my biggest gripe with mushrooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it fucks your stomach up, definitely.
But is it true that, like, you're the smart guy? I'm not smart. That it gives you food poisoning, and that's
don't
what's
know.
making you hallucinate?
Is that what they say?
That's what I've heard, but
Damn, I don't know if that's true. I know that a lot of psychedelic compounds and chemicals are already in the human. Like DMT, that's released when you die in your brain. Like that, our body makes that.
right. That's where the story of like I seen the light come from.
Yeah.
And that was really morbid. I don't like to think about that, but it's true. It's true. Like, if you ever wanted to bring me down, like, yeah, all those people who are like, I seen Jesus and he came to me, like, yeah, that's your body dumping fucking serotonin, DMT, and fucking,
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, supposedly that one is like, as far as psychedelics go, that's the one.
I'm gonna be so honest with you. I'm so like with the army and shit like that. I have a fucked up mind, right? So I have a little bit of PTSD, and I've had a lot of traumatic experiences, which is generally, honestly, why I got into comedy in general, was just to make light and make jokes, because I believe that if you make jokes about something, it takes power away from it. However, like I forgot where the fuck I was going with that, but what was I talking about?
Oh, fuck. We're both fucked
It's like,
up.
I don't know.
We're fucked up at this point.
This fucking retard. Yeah, no.
It was definitely... Oh, DMT. We were talking about DMT.
Oh, DMT. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't do psychedelics. I think mushrooms was my first delving into, besides salvia, which was a mistake.
You've smoked salvia.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I used to smoke that. This is gonna sound so horrible. Before, I was a big weed head, like I had told you, and I used to smoke that fake weed spice by like the pack. I would buy
K2.
Yeah, K2. I'd smoke
Yeah.
2 packs of that a day.
God.
Before I went in. Now, I'm gonna die young, dude. You can't do as much shit as I've done and not fucking kick the bucket early. But like,
Right.
yeah, I would smoke that shit. Like, I would get the pack and make about 2 blunts. For a regular person, like probably like 4 or 5.
Right.
But I would just roll 2 corkers. You know what I mean? I'd smoke both of them, and I'd see Jesus. And yeah, that shit never really made me like feel like the bath salts or like. But apparently that shit was like really bad for you.
You're talking about salvia.
The K2, the
Cali-
salvia.
K2, yeah.
No, the salvia. Fun fact about that: I used to smoke that, and never for the first 3 times I smoked that, I'd be like, "This is dumb." You know what I mean? I didn't get high, but I realized that you have to take the hit and then hold it in as long as you possibly can, and that made all the difference.
Wow.
I didn't know, and I got like the strongest one I could get from my smoke shop, my local smoke shop, and I remember I was chilling with my girlfriend at the time. I was probably in high school, probably like a freshman. And I remember letting it out, and I was at my parents' house, and I was on this like lawn furniture, and as soon as I let my breath out, I fucking seen everything trickle black. And I did it a couple times, and every time I did it, this voice would come in my ear, and I know I was getting high because it'd be like, "You're fucked now." And I would just I dropped on the cushion, and I just remember tripping. You're probably too young for this, but I was in PB's Playhouse, and it was just circling around his head.
Yeah.
And it would be like, and like the blue couch would talk to me.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was like, I was tripping crazy, man.
Wow.
That shit was an experience. That shit was a real experience.
That's what people say. They say that one's real intense.
Yeah,
the
it was
salvia.
crazy.
I know you can buy it I know there's some states where you can buy it like legally. Like you can just buy it in stores.
In Rhode Island, you could have.
Can you?
I don't know if
you
now,
can anymore.
but back then, it's probably giving you ass cancer or something weird now. But
right.
Back in the day when I was younger, I bought it from the store. To be honest with you,
Damn.
I wouldn't suggest it if you're taking fucking an eighth for the first time. I would not do something. Yeah, it's no way.
Yeah, I know that one's intense.
But never done acid. I've never done
Me either.
I'm wicked scared. You would think I've done all these drugs. Super scared to do acid. Super scared.
Because it's got a scary name.
Yeah, and my dad told me. My dad's my dad was a crackhead.
Yeah.
So like I'm talking like real deal crackhead. So like when I was younger, he would be on our roof talking about like the FBI was watching us, like that kind of crackhead. And he would always say like, "I'll never do acid." I'm like, "What do you mean you won't do acid? You do every fucking other thing." And he's like, "No." He said he's seen someone do acid so hard that they just went into a mental institution and just was never right afterwards. And I've always kept that with me. I was like, "I'll never do acid, dude."
Yeah.
Ever.
That's what I've heard too. I mean, if there's any drug where people are like, yeah, it fucks you up for life, one of them, or it fucks your mind up for a long time, it was always about acid. Everyone was like, watch out, don't fuck with the acid.
Acid, MDMA. The two, MDMA I really wanted to try, but just can't do it.
Now listen to this. I don't know if you've heard recently. A lot of these drugs are being used medicinally. That's why psilocybin is decriminalized in places like Colorado and Portland, Oregon. Everything's you can do any drug and it's decriminalized.
That's how a lot of Europe can be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They have designated spots with clean needles and shit like that.
Which is, I mean, realistically, I don't think it's any business of the government what you put in your body, drugs or not. But, different conversation. Damn, I forgot where I was going to. We're fucked up.
I am pretty tipsy myself.
Yeah, no, that's a good
But
thing.
we're talking about drugs, man. Drugs.
Right,
And
yeah.
it's legal.
Yeah, I mean, there's countries that never made it illegal, like Spain never made drugs illegal. There's only some, like everyone talks about Portugal, because I don't know if you know, all drugs are legal in Portugal.
I did not know that.
It happened, not recently. I mean, recently depends how you define it. Within the past 10 years.
I'm going home, motherfuckers.
Gotta go visit. I talked to a kid who said they got good weed in Portugal. Oh, my point was that medicinal use of these drugs. Recently, a study came out that psilocybin has actually helped alcoholism. MDMA has shown a lot of promise when it comes to soldiers with PTSD. And they're not saying that it's particularly the trip. Like, it could just be a certain percentage of... It's like a really controlled dose what they're giving you. They're not saying that you need to have the psychoactive effects of MDMA for you to get better from PTSD. It could just be a specific dose that they're trying to find. But in terms
MDMA, serotonin drops. It releases a lot of serotonin into your head, but your body has to. That's the problem with MDMA that I've seen. When people do too much MDMA, they're all fucked up. It's like they're fucking depressed. They can't. They're depleting.
Well, it brings you to bullshit.
Yeah.
You're this high, and then at the end, it's like you're back where you were before or lower.
Like if your brain gives like one drop a day, this shit's dropping like 10.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But yeah, I mean, they got a ketamine breath spray that's being used for depression. I mean, they're experimenting with this stuff, and they're finding that it's a lot more beneficial than what people think. And we were talking about how I had professors on here and whatever else. I had a professor from NYU, neuroscience, fucking smart, genius motherfucker. And we were talking about how there are some drugs that were once demonized, and everyone's like, no, don't do that. But take this SSRI, take this Prozac, this Zoloft, all this shit. And they're like, a recent study has come out where that could be the wrong medication. And it's just in time for this new emergence of psychedelic compounds and psychedelic drugs that people are experimenting with, and they're finding that they're much more effective in treating and even curing. Like when I spoke to that professor and we were talking about MDMA and we were talking about how it helps PTSD, he's like, it's the closest thing I've seen to a cure for PTSD that I've ever come across. And
I'll tell you, I've never changed my life more and been so adamant on changing my life than when I took mushrooms or psilocybin.
Yeah.
I can tell you that now. Granted, I've taken it not the way it's supposed to be used. I've abused it in the amount of quantity, but the general feeling of mushrooms and the experience it provided to me has changed my life existentially, even once or twice doing it. I still remember those times that have changed me to this day.
yeah,
Big pharma are just big drug dealers.
big time.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Like, I don't like generally getting political because I'm not educated, but from my point of view, they seem like big drug dealers. If you can't fucking pay out, if you're paying $1,000 for your fucking diabetes, insulin and shit, people are dying and you don't care. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. It's real bullshit.
Especially when you think of what medicine is supposed to be, right? Medicine's supposed to be something that's accessible for people. It's supposed to be...
Correct.
People who need it are supposed to be able to get it. It shouldn't be hoops that you jump through.
I'm sure it's monopolized as well. I'm sure the same fucking 7 companies are putting out every drug, and now they capitalize on it, and now we're screwed.
I mean, that's why Martin Shkreli went to jail. I don't know if you know who that is, but he was the CEO of a company that was making an HIV medication. The only company that was making this medication. And it cost them like $1 to make. And they were charging like $600.
Of course. I there's not a doubt in my mind that I believe that they have alternate fuel sources. I believe there's different kinds of medications to cure diseases. And then there's always multiple arguments behind all of this. Like, to me, like, if I created an alternate fuel source, I know big oil companies are going to come and try and buy it off of me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So then they can use it or deplete their sources of oil or do whatever they're going to do. The world's about money, and it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? I get especially angry about it about medicine. You know what I mean? That's a simple life, like making someone better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Monopolize what you want, I guess. The American spirit, but not medication, man.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
Well, we were talking about other countries before, and we were talking about how here it's so much more stressful in certain situations. And not to discount where we live. I mean, we're super fortunate to live here. We could be fucking Afghanistan kids getting blown up.
You know what? That's 100% factual.
But there are countries that you won't die homeless on the streets, right? There's countries that give you a universal basic income just to live, right? There's places that have health coverage across the board for every citizen, homeless, not homeless, whatever.
Right next door.
Yeah, exactly. Right up north, and everyone makes fun of them. Fucking
Yeah.
Canadians.
Yeah. I actually have a couple Canadian friends. They make fun of me all the time.
Yeah, they're
In
like,
our politics and our healthcare system.
Yeah, and then we can make fun of them and how their prime minister won't let them out of their houses.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Every country does fucked up shit. For people to just say like, Russia's bad or China's bad, it's like everyone's worried about nukes. We're the only country that's ever used a nuclear weapon. Did you ever realize that America's?
Hiroshima.
Yeah, we're the only ones that oh no, nobody else. Please no, like we're the only ones that have ever done it.
Ooh, you're about to get me into some conspiracy shit and get me going.
I love it.
Yeah, man. I think we're gonna eliminate. If I'm gonna be blunt or frank, I think we're gonna eliminate ourselves. I think our greed and everything, we're gonna eliminate ourselves eventually. You know what I mean?
I had a friend tell me that when we were like in the second grade. I was like, this motherfucker's a genius.
Yeah, it's just like greed and one percenters and all this shit. It's not that like people place so much blame on presidents and the gas prices and everything, but like to me, when I think about it, now granted, you gotta understand, I'm undereducated. I don't know nothing about. I never claimed to be smart, nothing like this. But to me, when I look at it, I'm like, all these big corporations are the ones running this country, talking to fucking whatever, and putting ears in people's, putting words in people's mouths and everything. It's got nothing to do. It's got everything to do with all the people with money who want to stay in power.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it is. It's all. It is the corporations. When people have one of those fun elections that they like to have, it's like, we know who's running this motherfucker. It's not. It's barely you guys. Like, we get it. It's a ceremonious thing. It's a right. We're fortunate that we think we get to vote for who we get to vote for. But when it comes to the main decisions, you don't want to fuck up the people who got all the money. Like, you're gonna make decisions that benefit those people before anybody else because they run the whole thing.
Yeah, their whole play is that the economy is based off of these people cycling money in and out of our economy. They're necessary.
Right. Yeah.
But they will not disperse that wealth. So,
which is why it's funny when people get behind corporations and they're like, they're doing a good thing. Like when Colin Kaepernick is on a Nike commercial. It's like, he's on that commercial to get you motherfuckers to buy more fucking Nikes. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's barely for a cause. They're using the cause as a fucking jumpstart. So it's funny when people are like, yeah, I support Ben and Jerry's for LGBTQ. The only reason they're supporting you is because they know that your stupid ass is going to see that they labeled their fucking disgusting corporate name across something and said, we're pro this. It's the same. It's the opposite.
It's a tactic. It's a tactic to get you on board.
Well, it's that, but it's also like you have like a Ben and Jerry's that is targeting a certain demographic behind LGBTQ and BLM and these things, and then you got like a Chick-fil-A who's the opposite.
Yeah, right.
Who doesn't like gay people, who's closed on Sundays, and they have a market as well. They know that they're leaning into their market as well. It is what the fuck it is. I like chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A. I can't be mad,
I actually, believe it or not, I'm a super guy. I won't do Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A. Now, granted,
Hobby Lobby anti-gay people too?
Correct, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A. But I know a ton of gay people who are like, fuck, I love gay rice, but that chicken's so good. You know what I mean? I guess it's an individual basis. I just wish, everyone wishes the world could be different. But to me, I wish it wasn't so much focusing on left or right or anything like this, but just being an individual, man, and deciding what you want to be and what you support and fucking realizing that societal norms are bullshit. But I think that's what makes comics, and I think that's what makes people who want to be in entertainment different, because I think we think outside of the box.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the main thing. That's what, most comics, they get into it because they see a different side of the coin. Anybody that gets involved into some shit that's creative, if you want to be an artist in any capacity, you got to kind of
Gotta see the bullshit.
You got to look past the curtain. Because if you just fed into all the other shit, it's like, then I'll just get a job at a bank and sit there until I die, you know?
It took me so long to realize. It took me 32 years to realize, dude, that, like, number one, you are who you hang out with. Mm-hmm. That was a big one. And secondly, that, you know, life's too short. You have one life. I would rather do something and try and go after something and fail than not try it all and regret it when I die. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I just take super hard, but I'm on a remix. Yeah, no, it's just I don't care about what people think anymore, and I think that dictates so much of what fucking people are about. Why people want designer brands and Maserati, all for the opposite sex and impressing people. Where I got into a mental space where I'm so past that. Like, my biggest fear is wanting to be the guy. Like, if I ever made it anywhere, right, and I'm wearing Louis and fucking driving a Maserati, I hope someone comes and kicks my ass. Like, dude, that's so whack. So whack. It's just not who I am anymore. But I've grown and have some wisdom, and I've seen all sides of life. You know what I mean? I've seen it from every angle.
Well, it's interesting when you see a person who's gotten immense fame and has every right to do those things.
Correct.
Spend all that money, and they don't. Like when you see like a Keanu Reeves riding the subway or riding a bicycle. J. Cole, another one. Yeah. I was going to say that. The motherfucker rides a bike. Mm-hmm. Like that guy, I mean, it's probably an expensive bike.
Yeah, that's just a Bentley of bikes, motherfucker.
But
he ain't driving a hoopty bike.
Exactly, it's not a Schwinn.
Yeah, damn.
But it is at least somewhat interesting. Like at least they have some type of humanity. Like when you see Keanu Reeves on a subway, you're like, that motherfucker is grounded in some sense, you know?
Keanu Reeves is my fucking spirit animal, and I'm going to tell you why. Have you ever seen that picture on social media where he'll be, like, taking pictures with females, and he'll have his hand just hovering, like he won't even fucking touch them?
Yeah.
That is me, bro.
Yeah.
That is me 100%. Like, on the scene, even before I started comedy, I made a deal to myself, which is not every comic. Some people get into comedy to fuck, right? Like, whatever. But I got into it being like, I will not sleep with comics. Number one, because I don't want my little dick in a set. Mm-hmm. And then number two, I don't want any sexual experience being talked about me. And also, I will not sleep with people who come out to the comedy shows either, because I don't want, like, say, just for example, you ever make it somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't want someone coming out and being like, oh, he fucked me and then stuck a finger in my ass and fucking when I didn't want it. You know what I mean? I'm cool.
Right.
I'll just stick to my fucking prostitutes on Thea Street. You know what I mean? Pay for it, it's all good.
Do they have them there? I don't think they have them on Thayer Street.
Oh, probably not.
No, those are like
they
college brown kids.
Yeah.
Brown the university we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not brown kids.
I would fuck either.
Sure.
To be fair.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you fuck a Brown University student, you're fucking rich.
Like
you're having
you know what?
sex
If
with
you're
the
from
rich.
Brown, I actually encourage you to come into my DMs. Even if you come to my shows, I don't care.
That's right.
I will eat that brown.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Now, before we wrap this motherfucker up, because we've been going for a little while, and I need to take a leak soon.
Fucking 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely go for 3 hours. But I did want to tell you, because we were outside and we were smoking, about my black belt fucking test. And you were telling me about, I want you to tell what you were saying before with a guy who was fucking 6'5", the whole thing in the military.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about training outside, and I've had a couple different training experiences myself. And in the Army, I did something called Army Combatives. And basically, I did this training with this guy who was superior to me, and we both trained at a gym in Arizona, and they performed defense lab. However, while we were going to this Army training to do Combatives Level 1, which is like the MMA of the Army, right? And our teacher had been placed in the overall tournament. So it would be like the UFC main card
Right.
of fucking the Army, and he placed third out of everyone. So needless to say, he's a bad motherfucker, right?
Right.
And this superior of mine walked into the class, and he was like, well, I gotta tell you, Army combatives is all right, but me and Private Cavaco over here do a defense lab, and we think there's some deficiencies in the Army combative systems. And I was like, motherfucker, we is too many people. I don't know what you're talking about. You keep me out of this shit, because I knew this dude was a bad motherfucker.
Right.
So, long story short, he had target eyes on us the whole time. You know what I mean? And they basically do this drill at the end to pass the course. You have to get double underhooks, and the teachers, you have to get double underhooks on the teachers while they throw strikes. However, you cannot throw any strikes.
Which, not to cut you off, people that don't know, double underhooks is a very advantageous position and not an easy one to get, especially if you're not allowed to punch and the other guy is. Go ahead.
And yeah, they were like, this is not a rite of passage, but you have to get double underhooks while we throw punches at you. And I'm like, this kind of sounds like a fucking rite of passage.
Right.
But I'm in the line because we're on the line to go through and get our ass beat per the usual. It's the Army, you know what I mean? And I took so many punches from this dude. I'll never forget his name. His name was Rico. Motherfucker,
Wow.
2 times. He had me stuttering after he fucking
R-squared.
gave me that right hook. I
He
swear
gave
to
you
God.
Tourette's, this guy.
Yeah, he fucking, but this is why I have Tourette's. He fucking gave me a TBI and shit. That's one of my ticks. I'm like, Rico, you know, and yeah, no, he hit me so hard I seen stars and I dropped down to one knee. He actually beat my ass so bad that when the beating was done, like I got up, he let me get the double hooks, mind you, because I was half unconscious.
Wow.
And he hugged me and he whispered in my ear, I can't believe you took that right hook. Like, dude, it was that bad.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
pretty gnarly.
Hit you with a heavy bag shot.
Yeah. He hit me. That it should have put me out. It should have put me out 100%. Even I am like, how did I not go out? So.
Yeah, sometimes you surprise yourself. You're like, damn, I wish I went out.
Dude, my
Why do
face
I gotta be
was swollen.
tough? Yeah.
Yeah, one of that class specifically was so bad that one of the there was females in it too. So the Army doesn't dictate, like they don't care. You know what I mean? Females were in there, and dudes threw such hard punches at this female they gave her a TBI. Man, it was like
Fucked her
that.
up.
It was like that, yeah.
I used to train at a gym like that, like karate school, the Kempo school they used to train at. Now, the school, I wanted to tell you about this because it's an interesting story, I think. I used to train at George Pizzari's Kempo Karate, which George Pizzari was the guy who brought Kempo from Hawaii to New England in 1960. Like, he's the originator. He's the patient zero.
The OG.
And he brought all that shit from 1960 to, like, I don't know, let's say 2010. 50 years, there were 50 black belts that he had. That's not a lot. In
One a
50
year.
years.
Yeah.
That's not that much. So it was like it was a real tough program. And I was there when he was old. And he died like the last year and a half of me training. But I was there for like 8 years before he died. And the only reason I didn't take my black belt test was because I was young. He had a rule where like you had to be at least 16 because it was a brutal test. Historically a brutal test. It was worse years ago because it was years ago. But by the time it was my turn, they were getting ready to close the school because he had died and the people in charge weren't really as devoted as he was, and he got a little bit more help because he was in the military. He got money he could put toward the place if he was losing money. He had backups. He had reserves that he could take care of the school. And one of his last things was that he wanted me and another student that I trained with to take our black belt test at some point. And he died before that. So I was like, hey, we're going to probably close, right? I want to take my black belt test. I had to, like, convince them. I'm like, hey, listen, I want to take it. And they're like, when do you want to do it? And I'm like, give me 2 months, which historically in that school is not enough time at all. You were a black belt candidate for like a year and a half before you took your test. So I was like, yeah, give me a few months. I'll get in shape and we'll take the test. Now, historically, again, when I tell you that this test it's bullshit, if we're being honest. It's a 3-day test where you just get dogged for 3 days. You get your ass beat. It's supposed to be a group of you. They only did the test singular 3 times. The very first black belt, Roger Carpenter, and then they had another guy, Gilman Whiting, and then me, because the other kid bitched out. He didn't end up taking it with me. So it was 3 days, but it was Friday, Saturday, or was it Thursday, Friday, Saturday? No, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on Thursday, when I had class, I had food poisoning. But I went to the class anyway, and I told the instructor, I'm like, listen, I got food poisoning. I know my test is tomorrow, but I'm just letting you know I still want to take it, whatever. And he's like, yeah, cool. I couldn't keep anything down. I was shitting. I wasn't vomiting, but I was shitting my brains out. Couldn't keep any water, nutrients, nothing. So the beginning of all 3 days is you run around a park with a cinder block on your shoulder for like a half hour. Just running. And they talk shit to you. You're not allowed to say anything, whatever. And then they put you in the middle of the park, and you got to put the block on the ground, and you got to put your knuckles on it and do push-ups, and they kick you in the stomach and all this shit. And then you gotta go.
Sounds fun.
You got to go back to the school, and they're all there. Now there's like 4 OG black belts, your instructors, plus like another few younger black belts that are there to oversee the test. And for the first 2 days, I was getting the dog shit kicked out of me physically. Like I lost 10 pounds over the course of these 3 days. It was brutal. And I went home after the first day, and my body, I had no water. I was so dehydrated. My body was just fucking, what's that shit, cramping up.
Right.
And I was like, screaming in my house alone. and on the third day, when I'm at my absolute lowest, fucking completely depleted, tired, beaten to shit, 10 pounds lighter, no energy, after running in the park, after doing all this shit, the last like 30 minutes was them, I had to spar. And the kid I had to spar was a Marine, like a big Marine. Like, I'm talking about like 250, like a big motherfucker. And I had to spar that guy. And he fucking, I mean, he beat the dog shit out of me. He rocked me. There was this old woman that was there who was like, used to run the school when my instructor died. He used to run the school. She used to run the school. She was like an honorary black belt. And she was sitting there watching. And I was like this far from her. I was like 5 inches from her. And this big Marine named Nick, he said, wham, and rocked me, knocked my fucking head right in front of this woman. And she said, oh, and looked off to the side. It was like a movie moment. But, this dude fucked me up. Couldn't put me down though, but fucked me up. Gave me a black eye. Did the whole thing, and I got my black belt at the end of it, but it was totally not worth it. I'll tell you that. It wasn't even close to worth it.
What an elegant story. I'm like, oh, this is going to become to a beautiful ending. And you're like, yeah, no.
It wasn't even a little worth it.
But 1 at 50? Are you really like 1 at 50?
Yeah. Technically. I'm technically number... Am I 50? I might have been 50. I might have actually been 50.
That's fucking gangster. When's the last time you used it?
A long time. Well, see, what it was they had this probationary period where you get your black belt, but you got to stay for another year to get your official black belt that's got the engraving on it in gold. You get the whole thing. You get a fucking certificate. And I didn't do that.
You were like, fuck this.
Yeah, I was like, this is bullshit.
Fuck you and your 3 days of dog shit.
And then I went to Triforce, started doing MMA, and I'm like, I could beat the fuck out of any of those guys after the shit that I've learned, you know? So.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Yeah, it was brutal. It wasn't necessarily worth it. And it was one of those things where I was a kid, I was like, wow, that's going to be so awesome. I get to train for 3 days and get my ass. But when you're a kid, you don't have any real conception of things.
Yeah, how bad it's going to fucking hurt, how bad it sucks. You're going to be sucking wind, yeah.
Yeah.
I had that in the military when I was like, well, to be fair, I joined the military because I was in a rough spot and I was like, I got to get my life together.
Yeah.
But it was pretty rough because I joined in 2011, Iraq, Afghanistan, we're all kicking off. And like, you were in basic and like, I'm like a city boy who's always had it pretty good, just happened to get like fucking problems and shit. And like, they were just in there and they're like, you're going to go to Afghanistan and you're going to fucking die. And I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is pretty bad. Like, and everyone's like, yes, sir. Like just machines.
Yeah.
Ready. And it was definitely an experience, dude. I did it for fucking 7 years almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the Army? Was it the Army?
It was the Army.
Yeah.
Damn. Fucking long time. Dude, I was a fucking canine dog handler. I used to search for bombs with dogs.
Wow.
Do you know how fucking... Dude, like a rational thinker like me, everyone's like kind of robot mode, but I would be searching with the dog and everything. I'd be like, this dog licks its asshole. And he's searching for a bomb. I'm going to fucking die. I got to get out of here. I got to stop doing this.
Do you remember that show Mansers? Back in the day?
With Joe Rogan?
No,
that's the Man Show.
That's the Man Show. On Spike TV, there used to be a show called Mansers. And they'd ask, like, man-type questions. And one of the ones was, like, how to hide weed when there's a canine, when there's a dog. And they said, put it in, I mean, good luck if you have this circumstance, but they're like, put it in a package of raw meat. Because the dog is going to be sniffing on the meat, and you hope the officer's like, oh, you're fine. He's sniffing the meat. But good luck, you know.
Realistically, probably one of your best shots.
Yeah.
Probably one of your best shots because the handler may chalk it up to stupid dog.
Yeah.
But generally, if a handler trusts your dog, he's gonna look.
Right.
It's really situationally, but those guys build bonds with their dogs, and they're trained. They're trained to know what to look for. So.
Oh, totally.
Because they're looking as much as the dog as you.
Right.
You know what I mean? How you react. And if you got fucking a pound or whatever and some meat, you're going to be like, fuck. You know what I mean? Not many people can carry that gangster.
Right.
I got so many. I know we got to answer. I got so many stories about that. It's just the fighting and drugs. I once pulled drugs out of a guy's ass once. It was pretty fucking.
Wow.
Last story. Out of base, Arizona, SRT, which is our SWAT, raided this fucking house in military housing. They were selling drugs outside of it. Arizona was a huge fucking drug state, like just like Breaking Bad, man.
Oh, yeah.
Meth, all that shit. And on housing, they busted open, got these dudes, whatever. And one of the dudes that was in that house that didn't get charged came on the post like 2 days later. And the female didn't have a license or registration. One of the cops pulled them over to the side. It becomes a big spectacle. There's like four of us out there, 4 MPs, and I was canine, but I was trained to be investigations. So like I was shadowing or I was doing whatever with MPI, talking them to get onto investigations. And I'm just talking to this dude, and it was like 100. It gets hot out there. It's like 120 degrees.
Oh yeah, bet.
And they were like, hey, we're just going to go to... She says she doesn't have her... I tell him, your friend who drove you doesn't have her registration. She said she can get on the computer. Fucking... we're just going to bring her down to the station so she can do it. It's nice and cold. You're not under arrest, but I got to put you in the back of my car for safety purposes. You know what I mean? And meaning I'm not going to arrest him. I'm just going to put him in my back seat so he can't, like, go crazy and punch me in my face, whatever. But he's not under arrest. And he goes, man, I'm under arrest. He's like, I got drugs on me, man. I'm like, well, now you're under arrest,
Now you're
dude.
definitely under arrest.
And long story short, they end up finding a stolen shotgun in the vehicle after I placed him under arrest, right? And I'm like, where are the drugs, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, they're in my ass. And I'm like, fuck.
Of course.
Yeah. So I glove up. I take one of the long fucking bags. He's got a syringe, black tar heroin, a spoon, and like what all in his ass, right? But here's the fucked up part. Book him, whatever. I'm so excited. I'm a private, mind you. I'm like one of the lowest ranks. And I got so excited that the boss of MPI comes out, and I'm trying to be MPI, and I'm like, hey, Sergeant, look what I got. I was like, I got this off of that guy, and he's like, hey, Slick, he goes, wasn't that up that dude's ass? Because he goes, you don't have no gloves on and you're touching evidence. And he goes, wasn't that up that dude's ass? And I was private ass hands for so long, dude.
That's going to be your new name.
Private ass hands. Thanks, bud.
If I ever host a mic soon, that's how I'm introducing you.
Private ass hands.
Private ass hands.
It's better than ass mouth. Ass to mouth, I don't know.
Well, listen, my friend, thank you for coming on. We're going to wrap this bitch up.
Yeah, it's been a while. Absolutely, man. Anytime.
We got to smoke some more cigarettes outside. That's the next move from here.
Smoke some cigarettes and share more ass stories and say a whole bunch of...
Now, once you eventually get your podcast going, I want you to come on again and we can let everybody know about it.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
going. I got some banked episodes just waiting to release till early quarter of next year.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, once that comes out, once you got a name and everything, I know you're still working on it. Once that happens, we'll have you come on and we'll get some promo out there for people.
Love it, man. Love it. Thank you, Antonio. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to all his listeners. This dude is the man.
Now, before we wrap it up, where do you got any dates that you want to let anyone know about?
I got a show tomorrow, Boomerangs, West Warwick. And I got a whole bunch coming up. I don't remember. October 1st, I'm somewhere in Johnston. October 9th, I'm at the Comedy Park in Cranston.
Nice. You got to be clean there, right? Comedy Park?
The comedy, Bill Simon's the owner. He likes clean, but I don't think you have to be necessarily clean.
Yeah.
But I got a couple dinner shows that I do have to be clean. I don't remember all my dates. I should have been more prepared.
No,
but yeah,
all right.
I would say tomorrow, which is by the time this releases.
They're not going to know. So it's all
is
good.
it going to release by October 1st? It don't matter.
Yeah, it will.
All right, October 1st, I'll be in Johnston, and then October 9th, I'll be at the Comedy Park.
Follow him. Where do you have? What's your social media?
Robbie Cavaco Facebook. She_crew KR3W_lovin Instagram, and Doober DOOBER .and dad on TikTok.
Nice. All right, motherfuckers, we're done. Talk to you on, I guess, Thursday. That makes sense. Peace, motherfuckers.
Peace.
Oh, me again. Follow the show, subscribe on the YouTube, buy me a coffee, use the links. Bye-bye.